Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Sit back and listen to interviews, discussion about books, and anything else literary. There's always something or someone new on the show. This call is now being recorded. Welcome, listeners. Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Behind the books, honest voices, real stories. I'm Amy Shannon, and I'm pulling back the curtain, bringing you heartfelt and real conversations with storytellers and creatives that go beyond the books. You never know where the conversation will lead us, so let's find out. Tonight we have a guest who had help with a ghostwriter, Jason Norman, to write his memoirs. Thank you for joining us, and will you please introduce yourself and let people know how to contact you if you wish?
Hello, everybody. I'm John Hinckley. I've just come out with my memoir. It's called Who I Really Am. It just details my life from day one till now. It's available on Amazon. So I hope you'll go out and buy this book. It's in paperback, hardback, Kindle. So please buy this book.
I have just, I had read it the other day, and I just kind of went through it and reread parts just to kind of refresh my memory. I'm getting old, so it's not always there. I had already interviewed Jason Norman, and he had told me about how he contacted you, and it took a little while before you decided whether or not to write your memoirs. What made you decide to actually move forward with Jason?
Oh, I just thought it was about time. I've had many people approach me wanting to do a book or documentary, and Jason seemed like a really nice guy, and he said he has a good established writing career. He's written about 11 books, I believe.
Yeah.
And so, I started meeting him, I believe it was back in February of this year. And we just collaborated and came up with this book, which is finally released on December the 9th.
So how was it difficult to kind of, go back to like your childhood and kind of relive, how you became, how you came to be where you are right now?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I don't really like to think about the past too much. I mean, the dark past, because I had a dark past in my late teens, early 20s. And it was hard to dredge up all those old memories and talk to Jason about it. But I feel like it's something that I needed to do and get it out. And because the book, in the end, it's a positive book. It's about where I am now.
Right.
And I'm a million miles away from the person that I was in 1981 when I committed my crime. So yeah, it was hard to talk about it, but if you read the whole book, you'll see, that I'm doing quite well now.
Yes, I am really, I'm very glad you are doing well. Having mental health issues, sometimes you never get back to a so-called normal. And every person who has a mental health problem, or even an emotional health problem, it affects that individual differently. In reading your memoirs, first I must say I absolutely loved your poetry. I'm a big fan of poetry, and I was very impressed with that. And I was probably about 12 years old in 1981. So, and it was all over the TV and things like that. But as a early teenager, I didn't really understand the concept of having mental health issues to the point where you could do something wrong. But I also grew up with a father who had he had a TBI that he didn't know he had, and it caused him to be angry all the time, and have depressions and bouts of anger and things like that. So, to me, that was just, it wasn't like, oh, dad has a mental health problem. It was just, an issue, that we had to shy away. Um, but, I was reading that, your parents, they were really big supporters of you, even, when you, you were, put into, what was it, St. Elizabeth?
Right. My parents supported me all the way through, all through the ups and downs, and they stood by me through it all. So, and I don't blame them for anything that happened in the early 1980s. They did the best they could, and after I was confined to St. Elizabeth's, they stood by me clearly all the way. They've both since passed away, but they stood by me through it all.
Yeah, I read that your mother passed away last year, and I wanted to extend my condolences for the loss of both of your parents.
Well, thank you. She actually passed in 2021.
I'm very sorry. It's not very easy to lose a parent, especially one that supports you. And I was curious, and I was reading a lot about and kind of go over it, when you wrote about your childhood and how from what you explain and what little I know about mental health, or the fact that, because I go to therapy myself, but I'm guessing way back, when you were growing up, there wasn't a lot of talk. There was a lot of stigma over mental health, issues, and people try to sweep them under the rug or blame something else. Do you feel that, that was kind of what happened to you, or were you like hiding how you felt as a kid?
I was kind of hiding it, but my family there was no mental illness to speak of in my family, so it wasn't even something that was talked about. But the feelings I was having, the bad feelings, the depression, I was kind of hiding it from my family. But it eventually led to me getting estranged from my family, and just kind of getting isolated by myself when I went off to college. And I kind of lost touch with my family for a while, and that was a big mistake.
Yeah, at least though, um, you were separated from your parents, but, do you think all it would have taken was like a phone call and say, Mom and Dad, I need help, and they would help you? Or
I'm sure they would have. They didn't understand mental illness back in the 70s and early 80s,
yeah,
like a lot of people. And my father probably would have just said, you need to toughen up and fly right, that kind of thing.
yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah. So they would have helped me if they could, but they just didn't have a good understanding of what mental illness was all about.
Yeah, and it seems that, and this is just from reading your memoirs, that whenever you got something that you really enjoyed, then maybe, you just kind of, thought of nothing else but that particular thing. So kind of being a little more obsessive about that. Your music, I never did listen to that Devo song, so
Well, music has been a big part of my life since I was about. Are you still there? You back? You back?
said we lost connection, but I edit that little part out. But as I was saying, I really liked that poem, Pretend, and in all of its I guess just is what you say is so, um, it's so truthful, of what you were thinking, what you were feeling. And, I wonder, have you ever, I know you've wanted your poetry put, um, to music and things like that, but have you ever thought about publishing your poetry?
I don't really have the poetry anymore. When I was in my early 20s, I was writing a lot of poetry, and those poems have kind of gotten away from me. I'm not, some of my poems were introduced as evidence in my trial.
Hmm.
I think that particular poem was one of them. But I don't just have all my poems laying around to where I could gather them together and put them in a book.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't write anymore?
Not poems. I mean, I write songs.
Hmm.
That's my poems now, my lyrics.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that is, um, something I'd love to listen to some of your songs one day.
Well, just
Uh,
go to Spotify. You can, all my songs are on Spotify and the streaming sites.
oh, great.
Yeah.
I will do that. Um, because, this will appear on Spotify as audio. But do you think when um, I know I'm a writer, I'm not just a book reviewer or a podcast host. A lot of times I wrote poetry and short stories, and I found that sometimes just writing it didn't matter what I wrote. It was just kind of a release for me.
Right.
Um, I was a victim 20 years ago of domestic violence where my husband tried to kill me.
Or what?
Um, so just because he decided to choose drugs over his family, so it was my fault, I guess.
Well, sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And I've been having, I have some physical and PTSD and um, ups and downs, so I can kind of understand a little bit. Um, but I raised my sons, and we made it. Actually, we probably were much better without them. So it was like a turning point in my life, not necessarily um, bad or good. I mean, it wasn't. It was terrible, but uh, I don't look at it like that anymore. It um, shined a light on to me, telling me that um, this is a new fresh start.
Right.
And so I've continued to write, and sometimes, and I did write write about it, and um, but it felt good to get it out, but also, I had people that I mean, I was the victim, well, survivor, and people would still look at me differently. I can't imagine how, you know, how you are treated. Um, I mean, you did your time, getting well, um, and how, and I know when you were released, you lived with your mother, um, and it was great to have that support. But once, you didn't have any restrictions, how do you go about, um, your daily living, trying, not to revert back to what you were 20, 30 years ago?
Well, I live here in Williamsburg, Virginia, with my two cats. I am on, psychotropic medications, an antidepressant, and, so that helps too. I also have a doctor that I see every other month, just for like a check-in call with
Yeah.
her. Not a call, I go to see her. So that helps. But I just try and get through my days like everybody else does, and try and keep a pretty low profile. Be a good citizen of Virginia.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, um, what you've overcome, I must say, I'm very impressed. Um, do you ever look back and say, "Wow, was that really me?"
Yeah, I do. I mean, I can't really, it's just what I did in 1981. I just can't believe that was me, because I'm just so different now and don't have the same thought processes that I had in 1981. So it's hard for me to believe that I am that person.
Yeah, and I think also that it probably you're not the same person. I mean, yes, you did what you did, but um, you needed help. And unfortunately, back then, the only way you got help was because of what you did. If you say you didn't go out and do what you did, um, who knows how you would have ended up. Yes, you did something terrible, and but you didn't run. You were captured. You were put on trial, and then you were put in an institution, and that was able to help you. If that thing didn't happen that day, you may not have been helped.
Right. You're right. I probably would not have received help, at least not during that time. So it was by being locked up that I finally got the help and attention that I needed to start my long path to recovery.
And I think that is a way to kind of look at it too. We all have regrets in our lives. We've done things we wish we could take back, but we can't. And, some are extreme and some aren't. But, sometimes the darkest hours of our day, um, you know, make us into a better person because we hit that one moment where we need to move forward and get help because it's not always easy and we don't always know that we need it.
Right.
We could think, oh yeah, we're perfectly fine, and it sounds like that, this was something that you had suffered from when you were a child, because I remember reading in your book about, the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and then John Lennon, and how both of those made an impact on you, but in different ways.
Right.
So, I mean, I remember when Lennon was killed, and my dad, he was a big Beatles fan and Elvis Presley fan and Stones and pretty much all that. And, it was kind of a blow, to music in general. And I think music should be something that is um, that can help you. So your music and your lyrics, do you actually write the music to it, or
Yes, I
just
do. I write all my own songs, and I would say that music has been a big part of my recovery. It's been, music has always been in my life, it seems. But now with my songs, to get them out there and have other people listen to my songs, that's a good feeling. I have people now who say that my music helps them get through their day, and that's a good feeling.
well, that is remarkable, and I'm guessing that it helps you get through your day
Yes,
too.
it does. It certainly does.
Do you listen to your music?
I do. Yeah, it's on, as I said, it's on Spotify and all the streaming sites. It's on YouTube. I listen to my music. I have an album out that I listen to from time to time. It just helps me get through my day too.
Yeah, I most of my day is spent having music, even if it's in the background,
Right.
and it just kind of it helps. Um, and I guess sometimes it depends on the mood, but sometimes it's okay to play sad music. Do you have any other, um, is there other music that you listen to, other
Yeah,
artists?
I collect vinyl records. I have a nice vinyl record collection. I listen to other people's music a lot. Yeah, it's not just my music.
Hmm.
And I always kind of revert back to the music from the 60s and the 70s. That's my favorite music to listen to.
Yeah, I get that. My dad's, in end stage dementia right now, and I kind of, inherited his vinyl collection, and we used to swap vinyls, before they came back and were retro or whatever. So yeah, I do play a lot of his records
Yeah,
just to, or I'll put Presley on just to, feel closer to him because he doesn't even know what food is anymore.
wow,
Yeah, he tries to eat his own clothes. So,
wow,
but I just, keep pushing for him. I have to take care of him, the best that I can, and usually it's just getting reports. But, um, I, I really am honored that you're on my show, and I really, after I read your book, I was really, I guess, kind of enlightened, and not in just a way that, to see how your life and then how you got to where you are right now, which is amazing. Um, and, we're coming on generations that are like, John Hinckley, who? And I
yeah.
don't mean that in a way. When I was telling my sons that I was doing this interview, and that was kind of what I got. And I'm like, okay.
Well,
I'm like, well, maybe that's good. Uh, and,
that is a good thing. I mean, back in the day, I was in the news every day and a real big deal. But now this new generations, most people don't even know who I am. But the younger people, I'll say. So that can be a good thing.
yeah, it could be because, you have a new generation of, maybe of, obviously you have, listeners, to your music, and, they're not, and I'm going to listen to your music, definitely be adding that to my playlist.
Good.
And I'm, I'm glad that you were able to put your life out, talk about your childhood and, growing up, and, especially your college years. And what I found was kind of interesting, and I was just wondering if it was another way of hiding from your family, where you would tell them that you were doing better than you actually were. Um,
They didn't know, like the poems I was writing. They never read those poems where I was kind of expressing my anger and my pain. They weren't reading those poems. So they just really were unaware of how bad off I was until the day of my crime.
yeah. And when that happened, did they immediately come to support you?
Yes, they did. Just from the very beginning.
That is, that's,
They never pushed me away. They supported from day one.
that you had quite amazing parents,
That's true. I agree with that.
because some might have just said, you're on your own. But I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't have, I wouldn't do that to my sons. Um, but so I definitely, you know, commend your parents. What about your brother and sister?
They also stood by me from the very beginning. They never turned their back on me. I just from throughout it all, I had a very supportive family.
You were very lucky to have that family.
Yes.
And I'm sure that kind of led to, knowing that you had that support also probably, I don't know, maybe it motivated you to really overcome what obstacles were standing in your way to get healthy again.
Right. Yeah, their support and love helped me through it out. Of course, my faith in God helped me through it all.
That
And,
is,
I just never gave up, even when I was in my darkest days at St. Elizabeth's. I just kept on keeping on, and I finally got my freedom.
and now that you have your freedom, do you feel like it's freedom?
Yes, I'm a free man now. I'm free from the courts, and I'm as free as anybody else walking around. So I truly feel free now.
That's wonderful. Yeah, you are, I must say, I am very impressed with how you have recovered and how you continue to, like you said, you take your meds, you talk to your psychiatrist, and I know from personal experience, even though it's not the same, but just being on your meds as opposed to not being on your meds. If I skip a couple days and then I am just so out of sorts.
Right.
Um, but as long as I maintain them and I don't lie to my therapist, I tell him the truth about how I handle certain things, and he, kind of, he actually listens to me. So that having, a good psychiatrist, somebody who listens to you is very important as
Oh,
well.
of course, sure.
But you are, I must say that if I said I was proud of you, it just probably would sound strange, but I don't see that, I remember it played over and over and over in the news and how I didn't realize until after everything that, how, you were able to just walk up to them and, do what you did. And I know it changed a lot of things, but, so I think maybe it didn't just change things for you, but it changed, safety and security, for other people. And, but I am so glad that you are well and you're doing your music and you're just trying to live your life like everybody else.
That's right, Amy. Just trying to live my life like everybody else.
Yeah. Every morning I wake up, I'm grateful that I actually woke up. So
Sure.
I completely understand. Uh, John, it's been such an honor to talk with you. And I really just, for this, I wanted to not just focus on, what happened in 1981, but how, mental health can affect our behavior. And I think that's really important. And I saw that. I mean, it was like jumping off the pages of your book, whether you intended it or not, to say, wow, if a child now was having the ideations or whatever you would call them that you had back in the 60s, um, then hopefully you would think that someone would notice and before it got extreme would be able to try to help.
Right.
But yeah, then we also have to remember the times have changed and sometimes it takes something bad to happen to make something good out of it.
That's
So
true.
I really thank you, John, for being on my show. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Amy, for spending some time with me, and I hope you do well in your life too.
Thank you. So I'm just going to close out the show now. It's the end of another great conversation, and thank you for being on the show, and thank you, audience, for listening. If you wish to be a guest on the show, go to amysbookshelfreviews.com/podcast and schedule your pre-recording. Please follow this podcast on Spotify. I'm Amy Shannon. Be safe, be well, and always be kind. Tune in here again next week for another tantalizing discussion. Thank you for listening to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast.